The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce, and we want to discuss our process. 73% of individuals in retirement or just getting ready to retire have yet to sit down with a planner or an advisor of any kind. What's very interesting is the 27% that actually did take that leap of faith, go talk to an advisor. They just retired or are getting ready to retire. They go to the office and they conversate. They come back home and they ask their friends and family. They gather around. They said, "How did it go?" You know what they said? "I have no idea what that guy was talking about." Sometimes it's difficult, right? I'm sure some of us have felt the same way. Nobody really wants to talk about their finances in a meeting, or talking about your personal information with somebody sometimes isn't a really good feeling. There's anxiety even to get to retirement. We see that having a well-defined process is easier for an individual to follow, a structure, if you would, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. We want you to understand what our process looks like. Okay, so what we've done is we've just mapped it out in a very easy to understand way. The first process, or the first step in our process, if you would, is our discovery, right? It's understanding about you, right? It's understanding about what your goals are. Okay, it's understanding about what your fears are. It's understanding about what your concerns may be. What is it that we're trying to achieve in an overall retirement? What does that plan look like? Most people think when they come in the office, they got to have a pile of statements, or they have to have all their taxes, have to have all their insurance policies. Listen, the first step in our process is making sure you know more about us and making sure we know more about you. At that first consultation or visit, if we made any type of recommendation based upon your situation to us, just personally, I would think that's financial malpractice. We want to slow down, make sure you understand more about us. Like I said, we want to make sure we understand more about you and your family to be able to get to that next step in our process, which is data. We want to gather a little bit more information so we can do proper analysis, okay? So we can dig in a little bit deeper, because we routinely see that most people don't really understand what risk even how it even works, right? They think of risk, or they get a question on a piece of paper that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is maximizing your growth? Well, everybody wants to maximize their growth, but the question is, how much risk are you willing to take to do that? Okay, so we want to make sure we understand what the risk, how you feel about risk, and in terms of your return objectives. What is an expected rate of return, so we can make sure we're on the same page. Okay, once we gather a little bit of that information, we want to do a proper evaluation. All right, so one thing that we do that may be different in our firm, if you would, is we use technology. Okay, so we like to use technology. One of the things that we like to refer that as is a stress test. Okay, so we want to stress test the portfolio, because you may think that in terms of a speed limit, if you will, you may think that your portfolio is driving at a comfortable speed that you're okay with. But the fact is, sometimes a portfolio we see is driving 75 miles an hour. But if we ask the individual, how do you feel about risk, and the score, if you will, their speed limit turns out to be around 45 miles an hour, you may not know that. So what we do is we take the current portfolio, if you would, and we run it through a stress test in terms of past historical events. Okay, so it would probably be good for you to see how your overall portfolio would react to a recession, or a 2000, or a 2008, or if interest rates spiked, if you will. You want to see how your portfolio would react before going through those types of events personally. So if you see, well, I'm not really comfortable losing 20%, or I don't want to be in that type of position where my portfolio would lose half of its value, because of course time takes place, right? It takes a lot of time to be able to get back. For instance, if the market dropped 50%, your portfolio would need to grow to 100% just for you to break even, and that takes time. So we want to show you things like that so you understand in terms of how risk really works, and so you can be comfortable with it. All right, so that's evaluation. Once we evaluate the portfolio, we want to then give recommendations if there is a need for recommended changes. Some of us see, well, we're just kind of looking for an advisor, or we want more of a relationship, change things over time, if you would, and we can do that. But there could be recommended changes to that portfolio, whether it's risk tolerance or risk adjusted returns, making sure we can adapt to historical events, making sure that you're comfortable with that, if you would. And then step 5 is implementation. Once we implement, then we over time review. okay? As we know, things change. Life changes. People come into our lives. You have grandchildren. Some of us want to become debt-free in retirement. Some of us want to buy an RV. Some of us want to take a trip to Disney with our grandkids every single year. That requires changes over time. There's going to be volatility, right? We've been riding this bull run for the last 10 or 11 years. When is it going to stop? Is NASDAQ 8,000 the new low? Is Dow's 27,000 the new low, right? S&P climbing 3,000. Is that the new low? Well, some of us would say yes. Some of us would say no. We don't have a crystal ball. But what we can tell you is it starts with you, okay? The foundation of our firm starts right there, all right? It starts with a discovery. It starts with making sure we're comfortable. The rest of this just kind of comes over time, right? But number one, we have to understand your goal. We have to make sure we have a roadmap. We call ours the ReJoyce roadmap, right? So that's what matters the most to us, making sure that we understand what your goals are and have a purpose for retirement. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate, pick up the phone and call us. Stay tuned, there's more show to come.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President and CEO of ReJoyce Financial. If you're in retirement or near retirement, with all life's changes, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Managing expectations is the foundation of a prosperous relationship. Our goal is simple. We want to get to know you. So pick up the phone and make an appointment for a complimentary visit. There is no cost, no obligation. We simply want to get to know you and see if we can add value to your life in retirement. We can discuss topics like income planning, sequence of return risk, taxes, and estate planning, Social Security maximization, and much more. Let us help you develop strategies that can develop a successful retirement. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now, schedule a visit, and let us help you rejoice in your retirement.